Here are the three biggest blocks preventing you from making tough decisions in 10 minutes or less. Hi, I'm Nicole Song, work-life balance expert who helps high-achieving professional women to release the perfectionism so they can unlock their intuition and step into a life of purpose and radical joy. If that's you, make sure to hit the subscribe button. So this might be the scenario for many of you when you're facing tough decisions, which honestly is probably frequently. All of us have to make a lot of decisions every day. You probably have a high-powered job that requires a lot of decisiveness. And yet what can happen when you're really faced with a tough decision, a really big one, and you're not sure what to do, this is what you might start to do. You look out the window, you're like, just scroll, see what's happening on my phone here. Ooh, maybe, yeah, check on my social media accounts. Or you start emailing people to answer other things that are much less consequential than the tough decision you have to make. And let me tell you, this is such a time waster. When we are facing tough decisions and we start to delay around them, that's when, that's a time where you're losing time. You're losing so much energy because instead of facing the tough decision head on, you're doing all these other things. You're just trying to figure out and sort through and have your brain process much simpler things rather than tackling the thing that is the most important to work on. So let's talk about the three major blocks that are causing this kind of behavior, that are causing you to start texting people, or maybe you're even going to start online shopping or like taking care of things that are much easier for your brain to process in this tough decision that's in front of you. Okay, here we go. So the first major block is that you're trying to get it perfect. You actually believe that there is a perfect, correct decision and that you have to look at every single possible outcome to get to it. And if you believe there's only one right answer to any decision, you are going to be completely stuck in actually reaching it. Here's the thing is that there isn't ever only one right decision. There is the right decision for you to make and the call for you to make based on your experience and your knowledge and your life and the present moment. But if you are trying to get it exactly right, you're going into a perfectionist mode where you feel like there is only one right answer and that you are the one who's completely responsible for it. You are going to really struggle to make those decisions. You're going to really struggle. You're going to be dealing with fear of failure. You might be dealing with imposter syndrome, like, who am I to make this decision? And the more all of this starts to surface, the harder it is to break through and actually make that tough decision. We start to spin out, we start to avoid, you start to procrastinate, you start to do all these other things that are going to keep you from actually making the decision that you need to make. So that is the first block. And this one is super common. And if you notice yourself getting into that perfectionist mode, it's time to pay attention. Okay, the second block that comes up when people are trying to make really big, tough decisions is that you are more committed to what other people think about you than you're committed to think what you think about yourself. So another way to think about this is you are giving away your self-worth to other people's opinions of what this decision is. You're worried about other people. You are letting them decide and determine your value and your worth because you're afraid that they're going to think that you made a bad decision. You're afraid of what they might think of you, and then you're actually letting it stop you from committing to the decision itself. And that is actually a commitment to other people's opinions. It's a commitment to worry and fear about what they're thinking, rather than a commitment to actually facing head on with whatever this tough decision that you have to make. And all of us have to make tough decisions all the time. And really what this is a lack of self-worth and value in your perspective, your rich experience, your intelligence, and the return to those things is the important piece for you to start to make these tough decisions and own whatever that decision might be and whatever that outcome might be, positive or challenging, and to remember and to recall and to learn like, oh, like I'm actually letting other people decide if this is a good decision or not, rather than me being the person to understand and to know if I'm making a good decision. So that is a huge block for so many, that people pleasing and worry about what other people think, what your boss might think, what their boss might think, or what your team might think. Those can all get in the way of making tough decisions. Or if it's related to anything personal, it could be family members. What do they think of your decision rather than you knowing and owning what your decision is? Okay, the third biggest block to stopping you from making tough decisions is you doubt yourself. So this is this is after the decision has been made. This is also a block because it's not about just making the tough decision. It's that spiral of doubt and fear and worry after you've made the decision. And this can look like you staying up late at night, like, oh my gosh, was that the right call? I don't know. And then now you're in this worry spiral at night that's keeping you from sleeping. And you wake up in the morning and you feel a little heavy in your chest. And you're like, oh God, was that the right call? Should I have done that? What are people going to say? And then you open your email and you really are like, oh my gosh, are they going to be okay with what I decided? So that spiral of self-doubt after the decision can be just as challenging and just as derailing for you as making the tough decision itself. So it's not just making the decision, it's the time afterwards. That self-doubt comes in for so many women who are high achievers, who are trying to make all these big decisions. And you might be the only woman leader in the organization you're in, and you're really trying to prove that you're making good choices. So when we're in situations like this, that self-doubt that comes in, man, that can really take you out and create really severe personal mental health consequences for yourself with stress and anxiety and worry. And that experience can also prevent us from making the tough decisions because we know we go into that spiral. So you might be in this really intense situation where you're trying to prevent that spiral from happening by making the perfect decision, the exact right decision, because you know that spiral will come. And that perfectionism is also causing you to go into that doubt and that worry spiral as well. So when you're experiencing all of these blocks, it's very difficult to understand what it would take to make a tough decision. Like you just are in this stew of the decision all day long. So what's happening here is you haven't cleared the blocks that are actually going to help you unlock and connect in to your authentic self. And then that is going to unlock what your intuition is saying. And so you can really trust your decisions every single time. And then you can also not only, you really actually are going to be making the right decision every time and understanding what it takes to make that decision. So until you can get these blocks out, until you can really move those aside for yourself and shatter that subconscious programming, that internal communication with yourself, until you clear that out, it'll be very difficult for you to make tough decisions quickly and to feel confident in them and to feel like they're guaranteed every single time. So know that that's the next step, is like to start to clear those blocks out, to really move those aside so that you can trust your decisions and you can trust what's happening. So if this resonates with you, let me know your biggest takeaway or insight. Drop it in the comments below, hit like, hit subscribe, and thank you so much for being here.